everyone. Here in this video, we are going to learn about a new concept called branching, Boolean values and branching. So, at first, let's start with Boolean values. So, Boolean value is a type of value which can be stored in a variable, okay, and that value can be either true or false. There are two possibilities only, that is true and false for the Boolean type of variable. And in Python also we can set it directly by true or false. Let's see here 3 greater than 5. When we run it, see what it is doing. It's taking two numbers, integer type numbers. So and it's saying it's checking it's 3 greater than 5 or not. So here it's kind of deciding that whether the comparison is true. Okay, that is 3, whether it's greater than 5 or not. That comparison is either true or false. So actually 3 is less than 5. It's not greater than 5. So that's why it should return false. And it's returning it correctly. So this type of output value is called a Boolean value. Now let's say to a variable x we are assigning a value true, and then we are trying to print it. So if x is equals to true, then x is holding or saving the value of true, and that is getting printed in the output. This is how it returns either true or false as outputs, and these outputs are nothing but Boolean values. So let's say this one, x equals to 500, and what we are doing, so we are checking 500, is it greater than 100 or not. So in the comparison, if it's true it will return true. If 500 is greater than 100, if it's not true, then it will return false. And either true or false will be now assigned to a new variable big number, and then big number will be returned. So what should be the answer? What do you think about it? 500 greater than 100, true, right? So it should return true as the output. So let's see whether it's doing that or not. So yes, we are correct and it's returning true. This is how you can predict the Boolean values in the form of true or false in the simple comparison instructions. Let's move on to branching. So what is branching? Branching is nothing but making a decision in a program code. So it's a programming concept where the execution of program follows a particular path based on one or more conditions. So in branching, to do that, we are going to use keywords if and else. So here, depending on a condition or set of conditions, you are going to execute set of statements or instructions. So see, one example is given. So let's say just consider a worker's weekly gross pay calculation. So what are the condition given? It's saying when the worker earns time and a half of overtime, that is working more than 40 hours. Okay. So in the basis of that, we are going to calculate the weekly gross pay. Then in this case, what do we need to do? We need to choose a correct formula. So whether the person has worked for more than 40 hours or not. If he has worked more than 40 hours, then the calculation is will be done in a particular way. If it's not, then the calculation is again done in a particular way. So let's just make simple expressions using that calculation based on the person's work overtime, that he doesn't work overtime. So the number of hours worked for the person is less than or equal to 40. Doesn't work overtime. So if he works more than 40 hours, then the calculation will be different. So if he works the number of hours is less than equal to 40, the gross pay will be simple. How many number of hours and what is the rate of pay? And then if in the else condition, if he works more than 40, then what will be the rate? So it should be the gross pay will be 40, okay, multiplied by rate. and then plus 1.5 into rate into hours minus 40. So this is a thing first you need to decide based on the conditions. Then we are going to put this whole thing using our if else branching statement. And let's see the syntax of it. If the condition is true, this particular condition, either here you can put the hours less than equal to 40 or hours greater than 40 anyway. So if the particular condition is true, then you execute a set of condition based on a set of statements based on that condition. If the condition is false, just come to the else part, and the else will be written in this way with a colon. Don't forget to write a colon after both if and else. So let's write a simple code using the condition that we just seen now. Have seen now. So number of hours is 46.5, which is greater than 40, and the rate of pay is 10.50. So the first, as per the first condition. So if the number of hours less than equal to 40, we just have to calculate hours multiplied by rate. This one, correct? In the else part, if the worker is working overtime, then this is the formula, which is nothing but equal to this one. Okay, now it's going to print it. So weekly gross pay for hours. So when we run it, so using the overtime formula, so why didn't it execute this one first? Because the number of hours 46.5 is actually greater than 40. That's why it's first checking here 46.5, is it less than or equal to 40? Is it true or false? It's false. So rather than executing this set of statements in the if condition, it will come to else part and start executing from the beginning. Using overtime formula, the pay will be calculated and it will be put in the particular place in the statement. So that's why it's returning these two statements after the calculation. So this is how the branching statements are done. Now let's see what is this. All statements in a suite must begin with the same number of spaces. What happens if you change the number of spaces before the print statement? So let's see what is this. Okay, so number of places. So what is this now? Let's compare the values. Okay, it's saying here in the print statement, rather than just having a simple print statement which returns the accurate values to you, 522.375 and 10.5, here it returns two integers after the decimal point for both of the values, because here you are adding weekly gross pay for hours, that is 46.5 hours at the rate which should take zero point 0.2f, means after decimal two places will be included, and the same goes for pay also, which is 522.38. So if you want how many spaces after the decimal, you need to have a particular value. So you, in order to do that, you need to do write like this. So let's say you want 5 places after decimal. So what would you do in that situation? You will write like this: zero point 0.5 if and zero point 0.5 if, and that will give you 5 places after decimal for both of these rate and pay values. Now exercise for you. So read this instruction. So there is a math square root function. What it does in the math library, the inbuilt function is square root, which calculates the square root of a variable. Okay, and you need to complete the code below to find the square root of a number which is non-negative. Otherwise, the no real number is the solution. So let's run this. What it should do, we need to import the math library, and then math square root function is called, and it will find out the square root of 16, that is 4.0. It returns a float number. Now let's run this. Here you are checking x equal to 5. So the number is 5. It's a simple statement. So let's see here. The else statement actually are optional and shouldn't be included if your code has the form like this. So see, if condition, the set of statements for the condition to become true in the if that are executed in the else part. Let's say it doesn't have to do anything. So are you so do you need this if statement here? That's the question. So let's see one example. Here you are going to calculate the maximum number in between two numbers num1 and num2. So here are our numbers 13 and 35. First we are randomly assigning the num1, that is 13, to max num variable. Now it's checking num2, that is 35 greater than 13 or not. If it's true, then max num will be assigned with num2, that is 35. So let's see whether it's returning that or not. Yes, it's returning that. See here, you don't need a else statement, so you don't have to include it. Just using if also it's possible, where you don't need the if, the else part. Now, can you have multiple, more than two conditions? So like this, so you can write elif statement. So in the if first condition, in the elif second condition, third condition, fourth condition. After that, if you don't have anything, just have the else part. So let's see one example for this. You need to input a number. So let's enter a number 10. Okay. So what does it do? So it will check 10 greater than 0. So it will return the number 10 is positive. Correct? So let's say I will run it and I will enter -1. So what happens? It will first check here. -1 greater than 0, not true. So it won't execute this one. Come here. Come to the elif part. -1 less than 0, true. So it will print the number. -1 is negative. Okay. Let's check for the third else part. So let's say you enter 0. What happens now? Number 0 not greater than 0, not less than 0. So by default it will come to the else part and print the number is 0. This is how you can include multiple conditions in the elif statements. Now let's see equality and relational operators. So we use for double equal to for equality, less than equal to, greater than equal to, and not equal to. And it basically checks two variables or two conditions, you can say. So let's start with this example. Here, equality operator, that is double equal to, is to test whether x is equals to 4 or not. When I run this, so x is equal to 4. So actually 4 is equal to 4. That's why it should return this statement. Correct. Now let's come to this one. So x is equal to 4. Then what we are doing? X equal to 4 means we are assigning 4 to x. So this is not a valid condition. That's why it's saying invalid syntax. You cannot put a assignment statement in the if. Okay. Now let's see this one. So again, this is a condition here. The answer that you use. What is the capital of city? Let's say I will write Rocky Hill. Okay. So wrong. The capital of city is Hartford, because here you have to check whether Rocky Hill is equal to Hartford or not, and the answer should be correct. But Rocky Hill is not equal to Hartford, so that's why it's coming to the else part and printing this statement wrong. Now next is membership operator in. So it is used to determine whether a value is present in a sequence or not, and not in just checking the reverse. So we have a list, a sequence word 1, word 2. So let's run it and see. So is high, using membership operator, is high in word 1, word 2. So not correct. So that's why it's returning false. So high is neither equal to word 1 or not equal to word 2. So high not in word 1, word 2, it's true. High is not equal to word 1 and not equal to word 2. So it returns true. Now think about checking he in the hello, how are you? What it should return. Try to run it yourself and see what it will return in the output. Exercise. So here what you have to do, prompt the user, that is you, to enter a letter and then output whether the letter is in between these vowels A, E, I, O, U or not. So use the membership operator and try to check that. Next is our identity operator. This is called each, which is used to check whether identity of one object is same as that of the another. So how is it checked? So these are two values for x and y. Here you are checking whether both of them are equal or not. So they are equal. Okay. So here can we write the same statement like this? So is x is y? So actually it's not true because they refer to different objects in the memory.